Hey everybody. Wow, you made it all the way to Thursday. Thank you for coming, and thank you for having a great week. I'm Gavin McGarry. I am going to be doing what is supposed to be a wrap-up, but who knows, really. As I always do on Thursday at Mipcom and MipTV, I just want you to take 1 second and shake hands with someone you don't know. Go ahead. Introduce yourself. Get my good side. Did you take the pictures last year? Yeah, they were good. Yeah, they were good last year. Great bone. All right, that's enough. No, seriously. You guys, I know you don't want to talk to anyone else. You've been talking all week. Okay. We got a lot to get through today. I'm going to be doing a bit of a hybrid presentation. There's lots of things I want to show you, but the main theme for me is sharing is caring. So I'm going to be sharing, as you know, at Jumpwire, a little bit about our company. Our whole motto is sharing is caring. We believe it. We give away a lot of information, and then people come back because we just feel we don't know everything. And every time I have a conversation with someone, I have learned some amazing stuff this week, and it's just interesting when you start asking people what they're doing, you always end up with something fantastic. So I'm just going to quickly go through who we are. So how many people have been to this presentation before? Oh, good. Okay, thanks for coming back. I appreciate it. Just want to know about all the other people that didn't come back. No, that guy. So I run a company called Jumpwire. We're based in New York and Toronto. I used to be head of cross-platform business development at Endemol way back in 2006, 2007. I set up the cross-platform department there. And then I went to a company called Juice that YouTube made fun of this morning, had big parties, and then never burned through $100 million, and is no longer. So, be that a lesson. We specialize in 3 key areas. We do data, we have a whole BitTorrent strategy, we do strategy and consulting, and we do events around the world, Cross Media, NYC. They're little evening meetup events. They're not like this great event. And then some of our clients are Naspers, Sky, Discovery. We work with big networks and small production companies. We work everywhere. We're problem solvers. So it's New York and Toronto. We divide everything up into 5 main content buckets. And these are the cross-media content buckets. And I've talked about them before, but we've spent the last year really sort of refining them. So we look at anything, every piece of content will fit into motion, mobile, marketing, publishing, and gaming. Some will fit in more than one, some will not, well, all will fit. But motion essentially is what we wanted to get away from was this whole idea of TV being the main pinnacle. So we made it motion. So this can include anything from flash and animation to DVD, anything you want to put into that bucket that's in motion. Mobile, we all have to have mobile strategies. It is the key moving forward. Everything is going mobile. Marketing, obviously. Publishing, this can be newspapers to online blogs, and then gaming. And mobile and gaming may seem a bit weird, but actually they're very key to any strategies you're doing moving forward, and I'll show you some statistics a little bit later. As you know, if you've been here before, I love stats. So if you've got some, yell them out. This is your new market. If you are not focusing outside your territories or at least building plans that have that, you are behind already. At Jumpwire, we advise most of our clients to plan no longer than 18 months. Foursquare is 2 years old. If you haven't heard of it, I'm going to break it down. I mean, Facebook is 6 years old. YouTube is just 6 too. I mean, if you're doing these 5-year plans, you wouldn't have known really. YouTube would have been a year old. So I think we only plan 18 months out, and some CEOs are not comfortable with that, but that's just the way we do things. We mainly focus in 3 key areas: data, video, and mobile. If you're doing an 18-month strategy, I'm not saying that this is your entire strategy. I'm saying that these are the 3 key areas. What's happening in cross-media and transmedia at the moment is that there is a lot of buzz and there's a lot of noise. So what I'm trying to do today is this is my perspective, but I'm trying to refine down to what we're telling our clients and I have discussions with people, and these are in order of priority. And I will show you the data side later, the video side and the mobile side, and how they all fit together. The agenda for this today, hopefully I'll get through it, but I'm well known for not getting through everything because I yammer. The Mipcom recap. So I went to a lot of the sessions, and they were really interesting. Lots of back and forth. The best thing about this Mipcom was the Twitter traffic was phenomenal. It was like double it was from MipTV, and I learned so much. I didn't have to attend as many. I'm also going to tell you that you can, if you have to leave, you can leave now. I'm going to tell you why. Because I don't know if you've realized, but this year they did. I think they did it for MipTV. I'm not really sure, but they did. Mipcom did a blog. Have you seen the blog, the Mip blog? It is fantastic. They go through every session. It's written like a newspaper. There's lots of video. They video the sessions. It basically does my job. Thank you. But sharing is caring. So, okay, so I'm going to do a case study because I get really tired of going to conferences where people won't talk about things. We're a privately held company. I am not a public company. I am happy to talk numbers anytime you want. I think it's the most important thing we need moving forward. I understand some of my colleagues who work for corporate publicly traded companies cannot talk numbers. And I get that. I worked for one. You can't just go out. That's competitive and stuff. But I think that we really need to talk numbers. Like, how much do iPad apps cost? Really, honestly. You know, how much revenue is being generated, really honestly, not let's just made up, oh, we made $1 million. Was it 1,330,000? So I'm going to try and do that today. And I've made some speculation. I've talked with a lot of people, and I tried to get you guys as much information so when you leave here today, you will have some ballparks. I'm definitely going to do something live on the web where I'm going to go through the importance of data and how there is so much free data that you can be building your strategies around. And I recently did this, and it was great. I'm going to also talk about a best of the web. There are more utilities that I use that you might find useful. And maybe we can also have some stuff from the audience as well, too. People who find really great websites or apps or things that they really think are important. And then I've also put together something where I'm like some people to follow. I found 4 people this week that I thought were really interesting for Twitter, and I got lots of information from them. And there's a bunch of others too. And I had 2 hours sleep last night, so I didn't get everybody. And if I put up the wrong person and you're not really, just don't. I'm really sorry. Okay. So here's, I went to MIP Junior as well too. At Jumpwire, we really believe in monitoring basically 4 key areas in terms of what's happening. And one is the children's market, kids market. What's happening in kids will eventually come in 2 or 3 years to an adult market. It happens all the time. When I was really young, I worked in at Kids TV, and I couldn't believe that, you know, we were in 1997, we were doing email shout-outs on a kids show on a network I was working on, and there was like 10,000 emails coming in from kids, 10,000 a day. And this is in 98, you know, 97, 98. So they led the way then, and they're going to lead the way there. The other one we focus on is the music industry. They got it so wrong. So wrong, but they're the ones that are going to find the way out. And if they can find their way out, we'll just follow them. The other one we also look at, and it's somewhat controversial and difficult. We don't want to be aligned with it, but adult entertainment. What's happening in adult entertainment is really they're getting hammered with their DVD sales, and they always seem to find their way out. How to make money online, sex sells. So people find it, and we've spoken with some big video companies 2 or 3 years ago who switched over and started doing subscription for adult entertainment. Incredible revenue. Incredible revenue. So we know, I've always known that web video is going to be big once it gets to the mainstream because I can see that the adult entertainment industry has already tested it. And the final one that we watch is gambling. These are the 2 cruxes of human beings, essentially. What's happening in gambling also translates into what's going on in the web, too. So we're always looking for the new technology that they're using, and you can maybe monitor them as well, too. So overall, these are my top 8 things that I sort of pulled out of all of the sessions that I attended. Apps. And they're sort of in order. Apps, this year was it. I went to 2 things that were about apps. They were packed. The iPad, just testing what are apps. Everyone had iPads. This whole room was full. It was, everyone is really buzzing around these apps and the tablets. Definitely going to change the way things go. Web video, It's big. It's our business. You know, if you are in TV or film, you have to understand web video, and every day you don't, you're just one day behind. There's a lot of money to be made there. It's coming quickly. We're seeing some real trends in Madison, on the street with the advertising agencies in New York. They're really starting to shift. There's upfronts now for video. So there's some things that are starting, and in 2 or 3 years, it's going to be a much bigger deal. Piracy, we built part of our company on it because we think that obviously what pirates are doing is what's going to become mainstream. Social media, if you don't have a social media strategy, I think that most of us would agree that you need one. Technology and ideas. This week I spoke with a lot of people and I always ask them, what have you seen that's interesting? I've got 2 or 3 things here that I was really blown away by that are just interesting and that we should probably look at them. I'm using interesting a lot, aren't I? Yes, I'm so sorry. I think of a new word. Branded entertainment is a big part of what's happening. Transmedia, yes, I know. I have no idea either. I walked around here, we had debates, there were people screaming at each other. I did a transmedia session up here on Monday, and people were twittering that actually one of the people on the stage wasn't actually transmedia. It was horrible. And then connected TV, I do want to show you what Samsung's doing. I think that I tested one of these about 4 months ago in London. My friend ended up buying one of these Samsung TVs. I literally grabbed her internet connection, jammed it in the back of the TV. I was twittering from it within 2 minutes. And it was an amazing experience. YouTube, all sorts of stuff. How many people have a connected TV now? Yeah, okay. So maybe like 10, 15%. I don't. I grabbed some slides from the Price Waterhouse Coopers thing, and I just putting up a few slides just to sort of reset our brains and remind us. You know, TV advertising retains its share of the spend by 2014. Interesting. You can see that where it's going to get hammered is in publishing magazines. We have now a couple of publishing clients that we're working with, and they're all really running around scared because they're just seeing their magazine subscription rates just fall off a cliff. But there is hope. I think that there's no question that the iPad is going to make some significant inroads in the way that I don't even have my iPad here because my wife won't let me travel with it anymore. Yeah. So I have to buy a new iPad because she has commandeered it, and it's now part of her world. And we all know that women rule the world, so whatever she wants. And I think this is interesting, but it's a cool graph. The strong growth continues for TV subscriptions. Interesting, Pacific, Central Europe, North America, not as much. I think there are a lot of people cutting the cord, but I think when we talk about cutting the cord, there needs to be some definition around that. Yes, I may not buy a cable subscription that goes into my TV, but generally in North America, I'm not sure about Europe, is that the people who deliver my cable, my TV cable, also are my ISP. So I'm just moving from one to the other. And so this whole cutting the cable thing, when I talk to these really techie guys who do it, I'm like, so where are you getting your internet from? Oh yeah, no, I got a cable box. Well, you're still getting it from the TV companies or the ISPs. So we've got to sort of talk a little bit about that. I put this slide up not because that they pointed out the TV subs and license fees is strongest, is that notice what's number one, video games. And it is now possible for us to, who may have spent a lot of time in the TV broadcast area, to move into the gaming area. And I think it's really important that you do. We work with 2 companies out of India that make a game a day. Now, they're not huge, fantastic games. You can buy them for between $900 and $1,500. But if you put them on a site, your stickiness or the traffic to your site that is remaining on your site doubles, essentially, depending on the type of app. And they're all reskinnable, and it costs nothing. It's not about building huge, giant games anymore. It's about building things that interact with your environment. Let's talk about apps. I pulled some stuff off Distimo. If these guys are out of Amsterdam, young guys, what they do is they put a bunch of apps on the iTunes store. They have some of the best research if you don't have an iTunes account. It's free. They send it once a month. I would highly recommend you sign up for it. I always learn something. They send out these little reports. You can see here something interesting. The average prices for the U.S. iPhone store the iPad apps are $9.63, but the iPhone apps, the average top 100 grossing application, that's the one in yellow, $13.12. Who is buying these $60, $70 apps? Has anyone bought a $70 app? Or a $100 app? What are they? What's the one you bought? Sorry? Yeah. Oh, yeah, in Europe it's all about navigation, isn't it? Yeah, because I had an issue when I was here with my iPhone. Oh, what happened? Oh, good. Sorry? Erotic stuff. See? Yeah, sure you didn't. Sure you didn't. Interesting to see about BlackBerry App World and Nokia OV Store. I'm watching Nokia's OV Store quite closely because they have so many people on Nokia phones. When they start to switch over to the smartphones, I think we're going to see some sort of revolution if they can keep it going. But the OV Store is cumbersome. I've used it a little bit, not a lot. I'm sure there's some Europeans here who have used it. I mean, what's the general consensus on the OV Store? Sucks. Okay, great. This is live, right? Sorry, Nokia. Okay, so yeah, it sucks. Proportion of free versus paid. This is interesting too because when you start to see the iPad, most people are paying for their content on the iPad, and everyone's spent a lot of time, especially in TV, for the last 2 or 3 years, saying people are never going to pay for. Everybody wants it ad supported. This graph here is a perfect example of that you need a hybrid system. It is not all about ad-supported. I'm sorry. People are spending 80% of the apps that are being downloaded on the iPad, which is the hottest thing right now, there's 10 million of them, are being paid for. They're not free. So it was pricing issues, and advertising may not necessarily be the solution, but I think that what I learned this week is that most people are looking at hybrids or mixes. Is that easy to see? Yeah. So this is down at the bottom is the price interval in US dollars, so between $0 and $1, $1 and $2. And you can sort of start to see at the top there the percentage of paid application per price interval. I'm confused, but no. iPad, 30%, 21%. But the iPhone store, you can see, is almost 50% are under $1. It's in the US. So this is great research for you to have if you're looking at pricing, you're building out models. We use it all the time, and the guys are in Amsterdam, and they will do custom reports. We ping them and said, we need a custom report. They're really reasonable if you need something done specifically for your iPad apps. We were working with a publishing company. We wanted to see if there were any other publishing apps that may be in the area that we were dealing with. They're happy to run those sorts of that sort of information through, and they'll tell you whether they can get it or they can't get it, and they'll tell you whether the information is clean or that it might be just a bit of a guess. Also, Michael from Mobile Roadie, he had some great slides, so I just commandeered them from his slideshow, from SlideShare, which you can get on SlideShare. Just Google it. So he says that iPad apps on average have 5 times higher eCPM than iPhone apps. Right? So the iPad, not only is it bigger, but people are spending longer and spending more on it. I guess it's from MobiClips, so you can check that out. The other one was iPad users have 3 times higher usage than the same game on iPhone. So if they're playing a game, and I know because I play Angry Birds on my iPhone, but when I play on my iPad, I definitely do play it longer. It's sad, but I love it. Who loves Angry Birds? Yeah, they're making a TV show. Talk about transmedia. I'm like, when does it start? Oh, and I can give a shout out to my favorite show. Have you seen Madagascar Penguins on Nickelodeon? Oh my God, am I addicted? Who's addicted? It's just me. Oh, darn. Oh, you too. We'll talk after. Great. I want to take you through some of the things that we thought that came out of the apps, and I'm going to play some videos and jump back and forth, and excuse me if it doesn't, this is where it all becomes a bit of a mess, because I want to show you some videos. I don't want to just put up, oh, go and see Flipboard. If you haven't got an iPad yet, there's tons on YouTube. If you want to see what these apps look like, lots of people have showed you on YouTube. So I'm going to see if this works. Let's just see if it comes up. Oh, wow, it's fast, too.
This is my iPad, and this is my Flipboard. Your Flipboard is your personal magazine. It always has content you care about. And it knows what you care about because it knows who your friends are.
I love this guy.
This is all stuff my Twitter friends are linking to. Articles and images they think I should see. Your Flipboard connects to your social networks and gathers all the good stuff your friends are sharing. Any type of content your friends can share. Articles, images, photo albums, and video. They all come to you. And you can always handpick from Flipboard's own collections, from some of the most interesting sources on the web. I know I can always find something good in Flip Tech, for instance. And your Flipboard updates when your friends do, so you're never at a loss for something to look at. And because your Flipboard is already connected to your social networks, you can share and reply from right there within the app. While your friends do the work of sharing the good stuff, your Flipboard collects it all in one incredible place.
Okay, dear God. Great, though. Fantastic. I've used it all the time on my iPad. It, quite frankly, is the best app. Just to bring everything together, it's like you're flipping through a magazine and all the photos come up. It's a genius idea. And the question is now that I always ask is like, how could we do that for video? Right? How could we do that for TV? How could we do it for films? What app could we build that would allow us to bring that all together? And they're sort of doing it here. You can already see that you can play a video from your friend, but what's the next level? What if we brought it into our content world? What would we do that was different? Because they've obviously just taken magazines and migrated that. So I thought that was really interesting. The other one is that they talk about a lot, and it is pretty impressive, but they spent a lot of money on this. They had to have spent probably about $1 million or maybe $750,000. The Disney person was sitting on the stage, but she wouldn't confirm or deny anything. She said between 1 and $1 million. I'm like, okay, that's helpful. But it is. I talked with some people afterwards. You know, Michael from Mobile Roadie was telling me that it was definitely probably $1 million or a $750,000 app anyway. So let's take a look at that. Let me see if I've got that up. Did I delete it? Oh, there it is. I'm not going to play these all the way through, so I apologize if you're a person that has to see everything all the way through.
Andy was a young boy with a big imagination. He loved playing with all his toys, but his favorite was a cowboy doll named Sheriff Woody.
I love the finger in this. It's just like so. You will touch here, and then you will touch here.
There's a snake in my boots.
So there's lots of things you can do with this. It's really, really deep in terms of, you know, there's coloring. You can record your voice. So if you're away traveling as much as I do, you can record your own voice and your kids can play it back so they can hear you. So it's sort of like you're there and you won't feel guilty. There's the coloring. I mean, really, a really deep app. They've done a really good job. Let's see what else I got here. The other one that was really interesting was Tom the Talking Cat. And this was, you basically talk, and I didn't actually realize that the iPad had a microphone on it. I totally forgot that they'd built one in. And they've used this. So you talk to the iPad, and the cat sort of repeats what you said, but in like a helium-filled voice. And then you can scratch them, and you can scratch him, and he falls over, and all sorts of stuff. Uh-oh. Let's see if I can get back to where I was. Tom the Cat. That is not the playlist. Yeah, there it is.
I know you are, but what am I?
I know you are, but what am I?
I know you are, but what am I?
Well, you are, but what am I?
I know you are, but what am I?
I know you are, but what am I?
I know you are.
Okay, you get it. I watched it thinking he's going to do something else. He doesn't for the entire video. I want to learn more about this guy, like why he thought that was the video that he should do. He was just like, he just goes, I know you are. What am I for like a minute, 2 minutes? This, quite frankly, is an app that we didn't talk about at the App Fest, but is I learned from someone at BBC Worldwide. The show has actually been pulled, and I'm just going to play the video for you, but they use the microphone to sync up using audio, so that when you're watching My Generation, which is an ABC show, things appear on your iPad because you're in the same room. And I was just like, this is the future. Right? If I click on ABC and I'm watching a show and things pop up in front of me, I was like, genius. Now, they've canceled the show after 2 episodes, but I'm sure they're going to use this again. And actually, I found a couple of videos on YouTube, which I'm not going to play because I still think this is genius, that actually show a guy who says how this doesn't, it's called MySync or multi-sync. He's like got his TV, he's got his camcorder, his TV, and his iPad, and it's supposed to be syncing up, and he's like, still syncing for like 10 minutes. And he thinks this is hilarious. So I guess they were having some glitch problems, but if they can figure it out, I mean, it's a great idea, especially for people in the content business, when you can start syncing your iPad with what's happening on not only your TV, but other types of devices via audio. It's very simple. And I'll just play you some video right now. Let's see if I can find it. I know you are. What am I? Here it is. Yeah.
Introducing ABC's My Generation app for iPad. View TV in a whole new way. Interact with exclusive My Generation content as you watch ABC's My Generation on your television. The sync technology connects to your TV, allowing you to participate in real time with the show. Just hit the sync button, and once you're connected, the show sends signals to your iPad, launching interactive content at specific moments during the show. All you have to do is participate. Take polls about what you just saw, answer quizzes, and get real-time results. Dive deeper into characters' lives with in-depth bios. Go behind the scenes and discover hidden details about the show. The My Generation app for iPad is the first of its kind, using the iPad's intuitive interface to enhance your TV viewing experience.
Pretty incredible when you really think about it. So simple, using the audio waves. And I'm sure they're going to figure it out. Disney and ABC really do some forward-thinking stuff. But you can see the power of that. And it's the app that stands out for me at the moment. And I wish that they still had it on the air so that I could try it. So let's talk about web video. The big problem is the view counts. It is a bit of my pet peeve. I worked at Juiced. I know how the view counts work. Sometimes it's first pixel. We found at Juiced that people would come in and look at maybe 10 or 15 videos. They would look at them all 10 seconds, 7 to 10 seconds. And what they were looking for is they were looking for something to watch. And then they would watch long-form content. But what's come out is that everyone thinks that everyone on the web, online web video, wants it to be short-form content. But my feeling is, and I have to talk to the research guys again, is that what they're counting is that when people are surfing around, much like you're surfing a channel, they're counting all those surfs, so of course it's going to bring down the average. There's also something in the TV business, they sort of don't want the web to be good at long-form content, right? Because that's what TV's for. But I think that you really need to think about this, because think of your own surfing habits, how you look at things, and where you go. YouTube, I watch full-length stuff on YouTube all the time. I watch lots of long-form content online. Now, I'm an early adopter, but I don't think I'm unusual. So when you're building, when people are telling you that people will only watch short-form content, I think we really need to drill into the numbers. And I'm hoping by MIPTV we'll have some better numbers as to what it really means inside these views. I just want to show you why, is that Avril Lavigne, she had these... She basically almost took down the #1. I think she eventually did. I forgot to check. Took down the Dance of Evolution guy, who was the #1 most viewed video. And this is how they did it. Web-savvy followers of the punk popstress have devised a constantly refreshing website that adds one page view every 15 seconds to Avril Lavigne's music video Girlfriend, which currently has 888 million. It gamed the system. So now with this happening, and I couldn't find anything that sort of refuted it from YouTube or Google, this is a significant problem now, right? Because if they can do it, then anyone can do it. So how do I know a view's a view? And it's something that we really need to get standardized, and it's sort of like we all need to leave here and start asking the question. When you're in meetings, when you're with people who are delivering video to you, or you're putting your video up on sites, the number one thing you need to be asking them is, how are you counting a view, and how are you making sure there's not cyber view? Click fraud. Lies, damn lies, and online video. This is great. So Jim Louderbeck, you can just see his face peeking out there. He runs Revision 3 out in the West Coast. A really brilliant guy, really knows video inside and out, and he is not afraid to stand up and write this article on Ad Age. I'll be posting this presentation online on my SlideShare, and I'll put it out on my Twitter so you guys can grab it. But this is a great article. And he really talks about this click fraud, the stream fraud he calls it, and he delves into it and what can be done about it and what some of the problems are. It's Ad Age, and that's the headline if you want to start reading it now on your iPad, I guess. This morning we went to a YouTube session, and it was really interesting. I mean, they definitely have a goal, what they're trying to do, and they had some partners up there. And one of them was Rye TV. He said that they were getting 14 million. Now, the guys didn't really talk about revenue. So what I've done is I've tried to talk about revenue for him. And they have 12 channels. You can see these are all their YouTube channels, and they're quite successful. They have a lot of these channels, and some of them have gone up recently. But these are some of the main points I found. Partner revenue worldwide over the last 2 years is up to over 200%. It might have been 300%. I was a little tired, but it's either 200 or 300. I'm really sorry, Patrick. Patrick from YouTube was telling me that partner revenue worldwide is up over the last 2 years 200%, which is great. So obviously they're doing something right. The basic revenue for YouTube, if you don't know, it's pretty much out there, is 55% to the producer and 45% to YouTube. Advertising can be local and global, and what that means is that they use something called AdSense, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but they will put local inventory in, so they'll put ads in for local, but if there's stuff left over, they'll sometimes put in global stuff as well too. And the global buys can sometimes be more expensive or less expensive, but it's based on an auctioning system. So there was a company called TBI Research. If you get an opportunity to go to their website, it's very good. It has excellent research. But they basically looked at YouTube and said, how much are people really getting for these run-of-network pre-rolls? So they're getting between $10 and $15. This is on YouTube. This is what the ads that go in front of the content are going to get. And the overlay ads, the one you see pop up when I played that video of the guy, I know you are, but what am I? You saw an ad pop up? That's the overlay. They're getting between $8 and $10. So, and if you're a mathematician and you found an error in here, please put up your hand because I did this quite late. So here it is. Here's the business model for Rye, in my opinion. What I did is I looked at the channel creation dates on there. So this is when they've created all those channels you just saw. And I looked at the total uploaded views. So the number of views that channel, that all the content on that channel, because some channels have like 183 videos, some have 5. But there you get an idea of the total number of views for each one. So X Factor Italia, obviously doing quite well. It's got 187 million views for, I'm not sure how many videos they had up, but quite few. You can see that they went through a flurry of things in October 2007, and then they put up another one in March 2006. They started their site in September 2005, so just when YouTube launched, maybe like a year afterwards, they were right there, and then they didn't really do anything till then. So it's sort of interesting when you can start to see these graphs. But here's what I found. So the number of views total is almost 200 million. What I did is I divided that by 1,000, because if some of you don't know, the way CPMs are bought, CPMs are cost per thousand. It means that I will give you $10 for every 1,000 people that view my video, or a video on my distribution site, right? So they're going to give you $10 for every 1,000 views you get for your videos. So we divided by 1,000 to find out what it is, because those CPM numbers I just showed you, the $10 and $15, those are based on CPMs, not per view, but per 1,000 views. Everyone got it? Okay. So the price, the run-of-network pre-roll, that was the TBI research, was $17.50. So what I did is I averaged those two numbers between 10 and 15, Or it must have been a bit more than that. Anyway, between 15 and 20 or 17, whatever. There's the average, $17.50. The price for the overlay ads is $13, okay? So the average run of network and overlay, so I averaged the two up there, added them together, divided by 2. 50% reduction. So at Jumpwire, whenever we're building business plans, we take everything that everyone tells us and divide it in half immediately, and then we generally divide it in half again. And you'll see that I've done that. This research is always all over the place, and people are like, oh, we'll just take 10% off. I'm like, If it works at 50%, it'll work at 100%. So this is the way I've done this, right or wrong. This is how we build the business models. So 50% reduction to be conservative. So it's actually a $12 CPM on average for both overlay and other thing. And the total earned CPM to the content owner would be $6.60. So for every 1,000 views, you would get 1,000 views of your content, you would get $6.60. Make sense? Anyone disagree with this? Does everyone think? Yeah. 15?
Yeah,
15 something? Okay.
24.
Okay, I knew this was going to be a problem. I didn't have time to. It's okay. Nobody panic.
And there is another thing. Usually they don't take into account the commission that goes to the selling agency, which when you have a price list on the internet for a video portal, it gives you an information. But then there is, well, although you're reducing 50%, which, yeah.
Okay, where did I go wrong? So I took 10, 15, divided by 2, right? Oops. Yep. I'm sorry. I see where I went wrong.
And for the next 2 lines, the same.
Yeah, I'm in business development. I'm not a mathematician. Okay. Obviously, anyone that was thinking of hiring Jumpwire may want to question that now. I have MBAs that do this. Okay, I don't do it. Okay, there we go. So 9. Okay. Is that better?
No.
And the next one?
Exactly the same.
Thank you. I know I was looking at it before I was coming in because I was rushing in, and I'm like, that doesn't look right, but okay. So we reduce it. So it's $10.75, which is what it should be. Thank you very much. And 50% reduction to be conservative, so you'd be getting $5.38. Then 45% of that revenue would go to YouTube. But you're saying what percentage would go, are you saying to the advertiser people? Sorry? Another 30% going to, because YouTube pays you right into AdSense, right? So no one takes anything from me. When I get my payments, like so maybe you guys are using different networks, but on YouTube it goes right into my AdSense account and I get my 45% or 55%. But maybe it's, you have different deals? Sorry?
Of the net, probably.
Yeah, of the net. Okay. Well, anyway, can we work with this? Is this workable? Can I keep going? Or are people gonna throw rocks? I can leave right now, you know. I don't have to stay. You just do it yourself. So good. Okay, so total earned content to the content owner. So you'd earn $2.96, right, per 1,000 views. So the approximate revenue on the views would be $583,000, and I reduce it by 50%. So I'm figuring that Rye, over the length of all of these views, okay, let's be realistic, length of all these views, so over a couple of years, probably made about $300,000, which is sort of what he said on stage, right? So he sort of said it's in the hundreds of thousands. So he says, now the important thing is that I was trying to figure out, well, how much is the cost associated with that? And he said he had about 1.5 people working on this, right? So I haven't done that because I probably would get it wrong. But the idea is that he had 1.5 people, so let's say it's like $100,000 a year. So he's still got, 200,000 left. And then there is the digital conversion cost for library content. That's for the library content, which is not all 12 of them, because the X Factor going forward is obviously already being shot in digital. And I know that when we were juiced, if you wanted to convert digibeta to a codec like MPEG-2, it was about $3 a minute. It dropped to about $2. Does anyone have any other data that would say, is it still around that? Does anyone know? Anyone had to do any conversion? Okay, that's probably about that. And then there's marketing on top of that. So there's definitely a business model there. I think that you can see here, if you work for a broadcaster, that if you can get the views and you have a large traffic, there's an opportunity to make some money. Okay? I'm not going to correct it on the one yet. So let's talk about piracy. So BitTorrent, most people by now must know a little bit about BitTorrent. I just want to talk about the demographics in the US. There's about 10 million daily users on BitTorrent in the USA, 60% men, 40% women, and this is indexing against the rest of the internet population. The interesting thing is that obviously, well, not obviously, but this is where TV wants to go. 18 to 34-year-olds are on there. But the really interesting stuff is that 29% are 35 to 49, and 28% are 50 plus. That's the shocking thing to us when we were doing this research. We're like, wait a minute. My mom is BitTorrenting? I'm like, dear God. So, you know, this is why BitTorrent is a great lab. Now, I came here, we launched our BitTorrent tracker service, full disclosure, in MipTV. It's been going great. But I talked to our PhD researcher, Leonard, and I said, listen, I want to try and find the correlation between what happens on BitTorrent, because we at Jumpwire use BitTorrent as a lab, right? We record every piece of content, every piece of TV content in the world. We have access to it from January 2008. We've been recording BitTorrent for almost 2 years, more than 2 years. So we have access to all this content. So I said to him, what is the correlation between what happens on BitTorrent and what happens on TV? Because BitTorrent's a nice little lab, right? It's getting closer to the general populace. Not quite yet, but it's there, right? Still a bit male heavy. So he said, well, 100% of the downloaders of US TV shows outside the USA said they used BitTorrent because because the program was not available on TV in their country, but 76% said that they would watch it on TV instead of BitTorrent if they had the option. So what we do is when we send out, we can put little polls in front of the content saying, you know, do you like this? Yes or no? You know, how old are the people in your family? And we can send out these polls. And the great thing about BitTorrent is that it's a little secret club, and they love to help us. It's crazy. We ask them anything, and they will do anything you want. You're just like, can you tell me where you go? You know, how many times you go to the supermarket? Oh yeah, 10. So we've got some amazing statistics. The interesting thing was that TV shows are gaining popularity on BitTorrent year after year. In 2009, a new milestone was reached for 2 shows in the top 10. Heroes and Dexter, the number of downloads on BitTorrent has exceeded the average viewership on US television. Here you go. So this was people around the world who couldn't get access to it. It probably was the research that Fox, who has it in the US? Is ABC lost? Yes, is it ABC is lost? So ABC must have looked at this and said, because that's why they did the 52-country Lost finale day and date release, right? Because they knew that it was just going to get picked up on torrent 15 minutes later, right? So they may as well release it even if it's 2 o'clock in the morning in the UK. But you can start to see that these are 2 very geeky things, Lost and Heroes. But what we find online is that people are using it to catch up. Oh, they missed one. They can't find it in their territory. It's interesting. Despite the massive piracy of TV shows, there are plenty of opportunities for distributors and broadcasters to win viewers back. The piracy figures simply show that TV viewing habits are changing. There's huge interest in on-demand TV, and there are millions of viewers that can potentially bring in millions of dollars of revenue. So instead of going and suing all these guys, we should be working with them, because what we've found is that even though something's on BitTorrent, it still does well on television. And we're hearing that more and more. So we use BitTorrent and a market signal. These are our tracker reports. Let's move into social media. Facebook was here this week, and it was really interesting. The thing I pulled out from Joanna's speech basically was that they were going after Google's lunch by saying we're all about sharing and not about search. And I was like, really? People don't go to Facebook and search anything? Oh, I see. So you wanted, well, she used to be at Google, so I can see where they've staked they're a big corporation. They staked in the ground. We're not, search is for old people. That's what people do on Google, but you share on Facebook. I'm like, that's interesting. So Facebook is sharing, caring, great. The bad side of what happened at Facebook is the privacy issues. Yeah. So about 3 or 4 months ago, I think 5 months ago, these 4 guys at Columbia and NYU built this network that uses a seed. So essentially you're carrying around all your information, and no one can get access to it unless you allow them to. Open source, genius idea. They put something up on Kickstarter, which I'm going to take you to right now, and then I'm going to play the video so they can explain exactly what it is. But in the US, we have something called Kickstarter.com, and it's where people, if you have an idea and you want to get funding for it, you put the idea up, and people will give you $10 or $15 donations. So these Diaspora guys, which is a great name, by the way, they got funded, and maybe I can reduce it. Hold on. So you can see here, I know that this went off on the web in a big way. So they asked for $10,000 and they got $200,000. Interesting. And I'm seeing this with a lot of projects that are on Kickstarter. You know, the guys come out of their caves who are coders and they're like, I think we should just ask for $5,000. And they get $65,000. So, because they're great, it's all about ideas. And there are some of these popping up around the rest of the world that are specific to each territory. I think there's one in Canada. I'm pretty sure there's one in the UK. But it is a great way to move forward. So they've got $200,000 of their $10,000 goal. And I'm going to play the video for you to give you an idea of what exactly they're thinking. And I won't play the whole thing, but...
Hi everybody, how's it going? We are the Diaspora team. I'm Dan.
Oh my
Max.
God, geeks.
I'm Ilya. I'm Rafi.
Sure.
Hold on. What is this project? Because I have absolutely no idea.
In life, we talk to each other. We don't need to hand our messages to a hub and have them handed to our friends. Our virtual lives should work the same way. Diaspora is going to be an open source, distributed, do-it-all, privacy-aware social network.
So what does that necessarily mean? Fundamentally, that means that we're giving every single person in the entire world the opportunity to install sort of their own node within the network. This node is fully owned by them, fully controlled by them. All of the information you share and pass, in addition to being encrypted with really strong encryption, it's also completely yours. You can do whatever you want with it. You can share whatever you want, and it's going to extend to whatever you want to make it do.
Social networks have only really existed for 10 years.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen to our data. It's going to exist for, into the foreseeable future. So we need to take control of it.
Aren't they cute? So geeky, but what a great idea. Take control of your data, keep control of your data. Yeah, I don't need to give my data to a hub. Why should I? Why shouldn't I just keep it? And quite frankly, when I go back to New York, I'm going to try and meet these guys because I just sort of want to understand the technology behind it. And I know they're working on it. And everyone had it was during the privacy issues of Facebook that things really took off for them. So that's one, under social media.
Because once you give it away once,
oh, yeah.
it's no longer yours. You can.
Thanks, guys. So let's move on. This is the information. I learned things this week, and I'm just going to go through a few of them. How many people have iPhones? All right, great. A lot of you. Perfect. Good. I don't feel like a total idiot. How many of you know how to turn off your do you know you have multitasking apps behind? Right? Do you know that when you have your apps open, you can double click and you can see the bottom. You'll see all the apps that are running. Okay? That's Does anyone know how to globally shut down all of your apps that are running in the background? Okay, good. Because I didn't either. Michael from Moby Rodeo said it's a serious problem with the multitasking. So if your phone is dying really quickly, double click on the little circle at the bottom. You'll see the apps come up. You can swipe them back and forth along the side. You hold down any one of the apps, much like you do when you want to erase one, and that's how you close an app. So if you've got 20 open, you got to close each one. Next week, I'm building an app that will close all of them for you for free. Because I couldn't believe I had 20 apps open that I had to close one at a time. Thanks, Steve. Yes, I was just going to say that. Thank you. I have a Galaxy up here, I have an Android phone, and I would like to say it is the greatest operating system ever that doesn't work, but it's okay, it's getting there. I run an Android because most of the phones in the world are running Android now. It's overtaken. I'll show you a chart. So most people are going to be using an Android operating system. It doesn't work yet. It has significant problems. I'm on 2.1. Anyone on 2.2? Yeah, so they haven't released 2.2. It's supposed to be significantly better. But the thing about the Androids is that it's open source and there is no control like Apple has. Apps crash. I had my phone dialing my wife every 5 minutes for a week, and I could not figure out how. I'd eventually remove the app. I was like, I don't know what the heck's going on here. So, but very interesting when you think that this is a free piece of software you can play. So if you're a phone company, you can take this free Android software and you can put it on a phone. You don't have to pay for an operating system. And there's all these coders out there that are working on it. There's a lot of free apps on here. If you get an opportunity and you have a budget, I would urge you to get an Android phone just to see what people are going to be using in the next couple of years, because it's all the people that are not like us, who do not make a lot of money, who do not work in television or have great jobs. It's all the people I see on the subway are running the G1s and that are coming in from Harlem and from the Bronx and all that sort of stuff. They're using it, and I'm watching them like crazy. I don't see them with iPhones. Sometimes iTouches, but mostly Android devices. And it started last year with the G1s, because at Walmart in America, they put it at $143 and they started selling it. It was the first smartphone that was really cheap. So definitely take a look at Android and experiment with it. Buy it for your whole team and let everyone use it for a week. Or not. That's a bad idea, but you get the idea. I want to talk a bit about Foursquare. I'm not sure how many people are using Foursquare? Right, okay, so some. If you haven't, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. There's two things. Facebook has come out with something called Facebook Places, and Foursquare is sort of usurped that. It was before it, and it's usurped it. I thought that Places was going to be a significant impact on Foursquare. Foursquare is a check-in badge-like game. So you're seeing these badges. These badges. If you check in a certain number of times, you earn a badge. So when you go to a place like the Palais, you'll sometimes see in our Twitter feeds Foursquare reduced that we've checked into the Palais. Gavin has checked into the Palais. I'm in Tor. So it's just telling your friends where you are. Some people don't like this idea. I love it because I found people, I don't really have to worry when I'm here with when all the geeks are here, because I don't really have to worry if I'm going to turn up for dinner late or I'm not going to get to a party, because I know where they all are. I'm just like, oh, there they all are. They're over at the C21. I'm not going to go to the Grand. They're all at C21, and oh, they're all trashed. Okay, great. So I'm not going to go there anyway because I have to go and do some work. So it's great to have Foursquare as a part of your life. It is a bit of a pain that you have to check in all the time. Facebook Places came out, which is essentially the same thing, but there's a huge flaw. Facebook Places, you can tag any one of your friends with you, whether they're with you or not. Do not use Facebook Places until they fix that. 2 or 3 of my friends, hasn't happened to me yet, but have been at bars of questionable repute when they weren't really there, and their wives and girlfriends saw it on their Twitter and their Facebook page. So I think that just be careful with Facebook Places. It's another Facebook issue. I'm sure they'll fix it, but Foursquare is much better. You can go off the grid, so you can do something where you can hide where you're at, and it just says you're off the grid, but it still records that you went there. So if I check into the Palais, but I don't want anyone to know that I'm here, it'll just say off the grid on my Foursquare, but it still gives me the points that I checked into the Palais today, because you get a certain number of points for. I'll let you discover Foursquare on your own, but it's a lot of fun. And if you live in a city, you'll start to find all sorts of things that you didn't know existed. Actually, I'm going to show you one thing quickly. Where did it go? Come on. Because this is probably the biggest, the best part of Foursquare is this whole idea that you can leave tips for people. So when you go to, what? Where? Oh, shoot, sorry. So you can see all my badges. That's why you have to say it, badges. So I've got all sorts of badges here that I've won. I'm sort of really proud of them. Now that I look at them, it's sort of like being a Boy Scout again. I'm just going to let you guys marvel. So things done, none. But what the interesting thing here is that if I want to, like this would be operating on my, what's someone's like favorite restaurant in New York? What? Estes? How do you spell it? Bubblegum I heard and I can spell it. So bubblegum. Oh, but not in Cannes. It's going to be in New York. Can you imagine if there's a bubblegum in Cannes? That would be hilarious. Oh, pastis. Okay. No, bubblegum one. Gump. Oh, well, come on, guys. Enunciate. That's not my fault. Hello? Oh, come on. Are you kidding me? Okay. Can someone say, okay, I'm going to, Bubba Gump, right? Oh, jeez. There we go. Bubba Gumps. Oh, why did you just say Bubba Gumps? Why did you say it like Forrest? So what comes up on your phone is this sort of thing, check-ins, total number of people. Hopefully there'll be some, yeah. So here's a tip. If you love a wide variety of shrimp dishes, this is the place. Not much chicken or anything for seafood haters. So that's good. If you're someone who, eats only chicken and doesn't eat seafood, you probably don't want to go here. And this is basically the future of the location check-in. What we're doing at Jumpwire is we're looking at it as what's going to happen when you want to check in and see a video. Why couldn't I see the video of the restaurant first, right? And then I could maybe make a decision. And if you got 3 restaurants and we're walking down and you're looking at the little videos, it would be helpful for me to see the ambiance when I'm with clients. I'm like, oh, is this the right ambiance for me? Should I be taking them to Bubba Gumps? You guys are going to love this. You're going to love it. So there's no one's mayored this, so it's not very big, right? Now, I will tell you a secret place in New York that if you go to New York, this is sort of secret. I don't know if you've ever been here. It's on 21st. It's not in Cannes. It's in New York. It is the best coffee in New York. And they don't allow laptops. So it says right on the thing, no laptops. So there's no one sitting around. Oh, is it not even in here? Did they kill it? Oh, they're evil. Oh, okay. I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to continue on. Oh. Grumpies? Oh, did you get it right away? Oh, okay. I'm going to move on because I think people are probably going to get bored. They're like, this guy doesn't know what. So here's 4 people that I think on Twitter search you're going to like. Carrie Lewis Brown from Manchester, Simon Staffens. He's basically, I just popped back when I was watching the video. Simon, where are you? Right there. So Simon is tweeting like a maniac. So if you go on Twitter and type in hashtag Mipcom, you'll see all of his stuff that he's tweeting about this. So if you need links and things like that. Chucky Pasha, that's Pasha from Endemol. He's really good to follow. And Mip from Paris and Canada, they did a really good job on their Twitter feed. Lots of stuff going back and forth, lots of retweet. So for all of you that aren't familiar with Twitter, I'm just going to quickly do something here. How many people use Twitter every day? Yeah, okay. How many people are just observers? Yeah, okay, good. So they've just, I don't know if you guys know this, but they've just changed Twitter, the main page. It used to be awful, and now it's actually really good. So what you do is you come to Twitter and you just type in search Mipcom. I know this sounds a bit rudimentary, but I had people come up to my last one and say, could you show more of the things that you're talking about? So I'm doing that. Are people happy with that? Yes. Thank you. Okay, good. So you can see here I've searched Mipcom. I can search any hashtag. We use it all the time. But here you can see Simon is Simon. Wow. How fast do you type? Are you on your phone or a laptop? Thank God. I was like, okay, so you can see here that all these people, so what I can do is I could find something that he really likes, and I can retweet it. Do I want to retweet this? Yes. So I'm retweeting it, and now it will go onto my feed. So all my followers, I have like 1,200 people following me, they'll see this, and if I think it's important, then we can create a little sort of viral thing about what's happening at Mipcom. So that's how it works. The great thing about this is that now it has this second area, which it didn't used to have. It used to go to another page. So now I've got all the sort of information on Simon. I'm following him. I can direct message him. I can see what he's been talking about. I can see what I've retweeted. I can see all of the and it's really good. I mean, I really like it. I can see all his followers. And then the great thing about Twitter is they're starting to put this together where they say people that are similar to Simon, these are maybe some people you should follow. So I don't know who this person is here. I don't know how to say it, Kangas or whatever. I might follow them because they've recommended it, and I'll see what their Twitter's like. So it's becoming a much more, a much better ecosystem for sure. And it's really helpful because I can go and, you can find all sorts of things. Now, you can use this personally, or you can use it for business. And we use it for business. Because the interesting thing is that a lot of brands and a lot of your competitors are going to have Twitter accounts. So let's see what Disney's got, right? So Disney's got 4 here. And I can see what people are tweeting about Disney. I can look at all sorts of, like, what they're doing, how they're doing it, whether I should be following them. Should I follow them? Are they verified? It's a new thing on Twitter. It's came out about the last 6 months. You can become a verified a Twitter user, meaning that the Twitter's actually said, yes, this is the person. Has anyone here been verified? I just want to know what the process is, because I've talked to a couple people, and it seems a bit different each time I talk to them. Okay. So to be verified, you just apply, and it's generally celebrities at the moment, because I know a couple of people applied, and they got bounced back because they say you're not a celebrity, but they said I am in my country, and they said, no, you're not in America, so they said thanks, which was sad. So that's Twitter. We use something, if you're not familiar, we use something called Hootsuite for all our tracking, and essentially what it does is it allows me to have multiple accounts open, and I can tweet across these multiple accounts here. You can't see them because they seem to be broken, but it gives me lots of information about all of those stuff, and I can drill into that a little bit more. But more importantly, it's about the data, and I want to show you the data that we get out of this, and then I'll also talk about Facebook. So here I can go to my Gavin McGarry stream, and what I do is I sometimes put links. So let's see, and I can go and get all sorts of data from those links. So here's some stats. So I can look at an individual message when I put a stat on it. Where'd it go? So actually, I'm going to go to the summary first. So you can see here, I can go down to my stats, go to my summary, and then I can look at the one for Gavin McGarry, and then it shows me the stats for the last 7 days, but I can have a date range for the last 30 days, and it tells me, what these clicks are and what the links are. So generally when I put a link in, it shortens it. It's a link shortener. And then it's tracking it all the time. So let's see. I can look at, they're giving more and more data all the time. So my clicks by region overall. So, Canada does quite well. The United States is doing well. United Kingdom, Australia, and there's others. So if I'm going to sort of be building a business, I should probably be looking at Canada, which we are, United States. So I can sort of see where they're coming. Or I could say, you know what, I want to get more followers in another country because I'd like to know what's going on. So this is really great research. It also talks about where the links are referred from. And you can see that people are direct clicking from the individual message. So when you have a company and you're starting to do this and you're starting to put things on, if you have a show or you have a program and you build it for this and you start tweeting about that program, when people click on the links, you know where they're coming from. You start to build a profile of the people that like that show online, not necessarily on television, but like it online. You can take that data back and use it to sell. So when you come here, you can go to the Polish networks and say, listen, we have a show, it's about fishing in the South Georgia in the United States, and they all talk like this, but for some reason, we've got 100 zillion clicks coming out of Poland. Do you guys want a fishing show? And they may say, actually, we've been looking for fishing shows. So this is where, instead of having to bump into somebody and maybe meeting somebody, you can now make your teams much more efficient by using this data. Is that helpful? Okay. So I want to just go back to the presentation a bit because I want to take you through a couple of things that I've seen recently. So today, Richard, who's here at the front, showed me something called Yellowbird. And it is, quite frankly, one of the coolest things I've ever seen. It's 360-degree video. They shoot it with this special camera you can see there. These two, where are they? Polish, Finnish. Dutch guys, two Dutch guys who've created this camera, and I'm just going to show you quickly from their website the video of what it looks like.
Yellowbird is using 5 cameras on top of the wearer's head to record the event in 360 degrees in the round. So you get to choose where the camera moves, depending on what you might be interested on seeing.
Whoa. Okay. You got anything on YouTube?
Could be, yeah.
Not could be. Please tell me it is. Okay, let's try it here.
Yellowbird is using 5 cameras on top of the wearer's head to record the event in 360
So I'm grabbing it
degrees
now,
in the round.
able to move it around
so you get
in real
to choose
time.
where the camera moves, depending on what you might be interested on seeing.
Bring your head against the wall, so I can see where I will fall. Bring your mind into my head, find your
While the camera's moving, I can watch what's going on.
But to give the full panoramic effect, it also has one more camera, and that's here, on the top.
Pretty impressive. I mean, in real time, I can now direct the video where I want to look, what I want to see, how I want to see that. She's not impressed. She's like, this is so stupid. I am out of here. Thanks. Okay, cheers. Thanks for coming. Okay, so I saw that Richard, I'd heard about it. You know, I just saw him this morning, and I'd heard, because the Endemol guys came up to me, you got to see this thing. They shoot with this camera, and then you can move the video around. I'm like, I didn't really understand it. Then I saw him showing it to the Google guys, and the Google guys were like, are you kidding me? And they're like, and Richard had a great sell, too. He's like, well, we could do this with YouTube. And the guy's like, no. And he said, you know what we want to do this with? And I was like, right away, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, this is Google Maps. This is like get video in real time on Street View. Being able to move around is the same sort of thing. I think he was a little scared, technically. So that's something I saw this week. This was mentioned in a couple of the sessions, my video rights. I just put it up there as a reminder to go and check it out because it seems like the Google guys work with them. People mentioned it a few times. I haven't really drilled into it yet. Is there anyone here from my video rights? No. Okay. Well, check it out. I just noticed it was mentioned a few times. I just wanted to put it up. I also love stats, so I'm just going to take you through some stats. This year, 51% of U.S. internet users, or 1.131 million people, will read blogs on a monthly basis. By 2014, the blog audience is expected to rise to 60%, which I thought was interesting when you consider what's happening on Facebook. And today, and this is the really important stuff, 78% of millennial internet users engage with social media, including blogs, microblogs, social networks, and photo and video sharing sites, according to Harris poll. By contrast, just 43% of their parents and grandparents. That's us, right? So we've got this whole world coming behind us that we have got to catch up with. I want to show you some really interesting things that just came out this week. I'm not sure if you've heard about the French Connection UTIC. It's so simple. I'm absolutely shocked that no one's done it before. I've sort of seen it a few ways, but not like this. I'm going to play you through it right now. It's genius. So she has a slightly annoying voice, but I'm going to play it anyway. Seems nice.
Hi guys, I'm Louise Rowe and welcome to the world's first ever French Connection YouTube boutique, or as we like to call it, a UT. See what we did there. Okay, this is shopping like you've never seen it before, and here's how it works, so listen up. Over here, you're going to see a long list of occasions. Pick whichever one suits you best and your plans, and click on it. You can explore it, check out my recommendations of how to wear it, and of course, buy it. You ready to get gorgeous? Well, if you're a shopaholic like me, I know you will be. Let's get going.
Oh, I'm so excited. I want to get gorgeous. What? Oh, I'm going to have this. Oh, how to shine on a night out.
All right, you're going out. It's a big night. It
Yeah.
could be dinner, it could be dancing,
Yes,
it could be
dancing,
just a cocktail
dancing.
bar with your friends. This is a really brilliant, versatile go-to outfit.
Versatile. I like versatile.
It's okay to really
Oh my God.
splash out the sparkle this season.
It's amazing.
What I love about this top is the
My wife is gonna
detail,
kill me.
the print, the beautiful colours in the sequins. It's absolutely
board, get
stunning,
to
and
it.
it's so easy to wear. Suits every body type. Something simple on the bottom half, a skinny black jean. Again, these are super stretchy. They really make your butt look great. And of course, girls, a high
I know.
heel, as high as you can go. Love this.
So now I can buy it. So I clicked on it, and it takes me to another site where I can go and buy it. Now the interesting thing was, though, is I went back, and maybe I can show it. I mean, it's so simple, right? Like everyone should be doing this. So what I want, the only problem was that when it gets to the replay, I can't click on anything. That was number one. So I had to play it again. And I really wanted to buy the leggings. Really want to just buy the legs. But for some reason, I always kept going through the top, and I was crying because I didn't want the top. And then I had to go and talk to my husband, and I'm like, you can't get the top. Oh, Gavin, you're so chauvinist. But, you know, great idea, right? Very simple, well put together. We should be doing this for content, right? All over the place. All right, that's that. I thought it was interesting. Check it out. Another one called Root Music. These are the guys that are doing they're basically making Facebook into MySpace. I don't know why anyone hasn't done it before. They're doing all the big artists. It's genius. I signed up for it. You know, music tech startup in South San Francisco provides tools for musicians to promote themselves online and social networks. Genius. Hey, Sharon asked me a question. Are you here, Sharon? I can't answer it, but I'm going to get to it at some point, but I wanted to show that thank you for asking the question. And follow Sharon. She does a lot of research. It's really good stuff. Let's talk transmedia. Transmedia, we're all a bit confused, but go to the Wikipedia site and figure out and add to it, because apparently there's a huge debate going on there. Someone keeps deleting and adding stuff. Anyway, connected TV, the Samsung stuff is fantastic. I'm just going to rush through because I've got about 50 minutes left, and I just want to take the last like 5 or 6 minutes just to take you through the case study quickly. So content ecosystems. This we did with Nature Does It Best. Ecosystem is a functional unit consisting of living things in a given area, non-living chemical and physical factors of the environment linked together, blah, blah, blah. Looks like this. So I just took that and made it into a content ecosystem, which is a functional unit consisting of pieces of content associated with each other, and I haven't got the diagram yet. Here are our clients. These are the guys from Outpost Films. On the left, your left, is Sebastian Younger and Tim Hetherington. Sebastian Younger is an award-winning journalist. He's been in Afghanistan for like 20 years. He wrote Perfect Storm. He was just on the front of Outside magazine. He wrote a book called War. Tim Hetherington is a National Geographic photographer. They got together and they went to Afghanistan to something, and they made a movie called Restrepo. It's a documentary. One Platoon, 1 Year, One Valley. It's fantastic if you get an opportunity to see it. It's right now it's in the UK, and it opened. We did all of the content ecosystems for it in the United States. We worked with Nat Geo and a couple of other social media people. So sorry? You can't see it online yet. I don't think, but hopefully, or download it, I guess. No, don't. They're really good guys. So what happened was that this is the website that they had before they brought us on. It's all Flash-based. I'm not going to show it to you because it was awful. No searching, no nothing. So we built a $15,000 WordPress site with an expression engine, or using expression engine. Very simple. Video at the front. You can see along the top where everyone, where all the what you can click on. So we revamped that, made it very, very SEO friendly. Ratings went up through the roof. Down at the bottom, we built all of the Twitter information. And the interesting thing here is that you can Sebastian, Tim, Hetherington. So you can click on those ones underneath Twitter timeline, and it gives you their timeline. You don't have to have 100 of them. It's really genius. The guys who created it with us did a really good job. The main important thing to remember here is that if you're not from the United States, there's something called Fandango. In the United States, that's where you buy all your tickets. Our main goal was to drive people to Fandango to buy tickets. Here's how we built the ecosystem. This is how we build them. We are not a social media company. We build ecosystems, and there's a big difference. We have a head of social media, but we use video. We use all sorts of other things to do that. And if people want social media companies, that's great, but we think that video, YouTube being the second biggest search engine, needs to be part of that ecosystem. So this is how we build them. Traditional media, social media, web video, word of mouth, and meetup. And PR, obviously. So the 5 areas I told you about before, these are the content areas. We look at how the content can influence that. And then this is how we built sort of part of the ecosystem here. You can see at the bottom, that's all the social media. The traditional media is up at the top, including all of the, the books and that sort of stuff. And then something that Huffington Post has, it's called a meetup, weekly meetup Huffington Post has. And it's across the country. And you can basically apply to have your idea be what everyone at the universities and all these meetups across the US talks about. And then the Huffington Post will write articles about it. So we're hopefully going to use that, and we really believe in Meetup. I'm not sure is Meetup in Europe? Do you guys use it a lot? Yeah? So it's a great way to get together. If you have a film or you have a TV series and you have rabid fans, start a Meetup, and it will blow your mind how many people will show up. So here's the ecosystem case study really quickly. Our 3 objectives were to bring Afghanistan war conversation to the mainstream, sell more tickets to the film, and keep the film in theaters until the end of 2010. It was a 3-phase strategy, very simple. Develop the audience, influence the audience, and then leverage video. And we did it over 3 months. So we build the audience using social media. We research the content connecting the opportunities. So we look for articles, and we have a formula that we've built over the last year that drives a lot of traffic back and forth and gets people in. And it's a H2H, it's a human-to-human scenario. It's not all bot and algorithmic based. We pose questions, and we connect the discussions, and they influence the audience. And then we use networks to get the video out there that drives the traffic back to the social media, building the content system, ecosystem. Here's what it sort of looks like. So the ones at the side there are pieces of the system that we don't feel are appropriate for the brand. We didn't think that right now they needed a game or mobile apps, but they are coming. But we just didn't feel when we built this to show it to them that those were appropriate at the moment. So you can leave things out across the platforms if you want to look at transmedia, but this is sort of the way we built it. So the campaign start, we built on the premiere of the film. I met Sebastian through a friend of mine. I told him what we did, and he was like, wow, okay, well, we need to get you on this because everything was quite disparate. So we began on the day of the premiere, unfortunately. So Facebook had mainly been used for announcing openings, but had managed to get 10,000 fans, basically around military support. Restrepo Twitter handle had been abandoned 2 months prior, so Nat Geo had decided, we're not going to have a Restrepo Twitter handle. We're just going to have our own. We're going to drive everyone to our own Twitter handle. And there's definitely some debate there on that. I don't think that's necessarily the best thing because when Nat Geo moves on to another movie, they're not going to keep promoting Restrepo. So that's why we felt it was important to take back. Sebastian Younger Twitter handle was not being used in connection with the film, and each channel was being run independently. So we put it together as an ecosystem. Here are the results. Restrepo remained in the theaters for 3 months after the release. They were hoping that it was going to be there till the end of September. It's now going to the end of November. It's grossing $1.2 million. We broke $1 million. Nat Geo was like, what? After starting in 2 theaters, it expanded to 52 theaters. Now, the interesting thing is that we compared it to something that was released the same time that came out of Hollywood called Dry Land, which had national stars, similar topic, favorable reviews, and 5 opening theaters, not 2. They grossed $11,000. Whoa, whoops. Didn't have an ecosystem there. Or maybe it wasn't that good. I didn't see it. So the fan pie, recycling unused content pushed the fan page slightly less 10K to 30K. Each posting generated hundreds of comments, and the Twitter followings tripled, positive mentions. Sebastian Younger was retweeted by Jack Welch, who's got 1.2 million followers because he was on a morning show, traditional media. So we used the PR to get him as many places as possible. It got picked up. The Twitter handle was created in December 2009, 26 tweets between January and May. Once we got a hold of it, 328. And that was, from July till now. Here's what it looks like. So when we took over using our formula, you can see the upward traffic, right? And it's not rocket surgery. It's just making sure that you're speaking to the audience specifically. But you can see the upward trend. Followers at 713, people are like, well, that's not that many. But on Facebook and Twitter, the average user has around 130 friends. So we multiply that number by 130. And we, in fact, think it's much higher, but because it appears in people's news feed and their Twitter thing, so people will retweet it. So we actually multiply this number by 130, so we get closer to 10,000. The Restrepo movie weekly click-through rate, you get an idea. The 115 was over the long weekend. The 284 when Sebastian wrote a piece for the Daily Beast and Vanity Fair. The most popular links that were shared, it's interesting here, you can see that a lot of people at the top didn't get up very early, because did you see Morning Joe? He was on at like 7 o'clock in the morning, so people had heard about it, and then were watching it online. So if you missed it, they would catch up. People were telling a list of the theaters, etc. Number of retweets for Restrepo the movie, you can see again here. And the YouTube views driven by social media, you can see at the top there was an embedded player that was on our website, so we were driving traffic through there. People were searching for it on YouTube. No link refer, so mobile devices, which is really interesting that it's number 3. And we're seeing a lot of this on YouTube. That, mobile devices are coming up. People are viewing a lot of video on mobile devices. Finally, we had to determine 3 videos that were going to go on Nat Geo so that they could put it out to their network. Which 3 do you think we picked? Exactly, the ones at the top. And that was all done by crowdsourcing. We didn't need to put up supply drop. We had 22 videos up. We had used all of the Twitter feeds and everything to determine the 3 videos that we felt were going to drive the most traffic when we put it onto another distribution site. The trends I'm looking at, haptic feedback, private social networks, semantic web, Creative Commons, and word of mouth. I put that up there so I can look impressive. And that is me. Now, I do want to be able to take a little bit of time to be able to have 3 minutes for questions. I am useless, aren't I, when it comes to time? I'm so sorry. But let's throw it out to the audience and see if there's, we've had a good banter. There's people yelling at me. Are there any questions, concerns? Do you want, yeah, Eric.
Gavin, could you tell us about the cost of iPad apps? You mentioned that before at the beginning.
So it depends on, what we're finding is that when we're building iPad apps, that it really depends on the functionality of it. But what we generally do is we go to the iPhone store and we look, or the Apple iTunes store, and then we look at an app that's similar, and we take it to our guys who build apps, and they give us a quote. Excuse me. Essentially, we're finding that apps that don't have too much utility in them are around 15 to 20 grand. Not too much. Games can be a little bit less, but generally we find that no apps are, if you're going to build one, it's going to be around $50,000. You've got to sort of look at overall, depending on how busy it is. Now, there's lots of platforms you can use. Mobile Roadie, they charge 1,200 euros, I understand. And the 1,200 euros, you go on the platform and you pick what you want and it builds it for you. I haven't used it yet, but that's a way to build a simple app. Mostly we find is the coding is not a big deal. It's the design that takes a lot of time. The user interface is the biggest expense for us in terms of building apps, because you want to make sure it's with your brand. And I found overall that range of about 20 to 50, you can get really good apps in the US for that. Does that help? Cool. Anything else? Yeah, up here.
Thanks. Hello, it's John Bessai from greenheroes.tv. I just wondered if you could talk a little bit about the future and distribution. Any trends there? Anything that your distributors were talking to you about? Any new opportunities, new ways of doing business in the transmedia universe?
YouTube, YouTube, YouTube. It is really that simple. It is becoming the de facto everything. If you're not on YouTube and understanding how YouTube works, I mean, what we do is we use a lot of like the information that's here. Let me just get to. I mean, the data side of what is available on YouTube is so impressive that we use it all the time to do all sorts of research, and the data is all free. So when you go to any sort of one of these videos, it's got 3 million views. It's a pirate video. But here you can see on YouTube, it's got all the views, right? They've redone it. You click here. Now this is your competitor's video that just got 3 million. Here is all the data you need. Oh, let's see where it's trending. In the US, what's the age demographic? 13 to 17, 18 to 24. Where was it linked from? There were 61,000 views from a mobile device. So that could be an iPod, iTouch, Android device. Then I've got all the comments down here. People like it, don't like it. I can see how it trended. Was it a spike? No, it wasn't. It built over time. That's better for me, right? If I'm building something that's that's going to grow slowly, that's better than a spike because it'll go down. We look at algorithms, or sorry, formulas that build the ratings times the views times the comments. If something has a lot of views but no comments or ratings, then it's not something that we want to get interested in. So in terms of distribution, bringing it back, is that you put up 50 videos from your content, trailers. They don't necessarily have to be your actual content, just trailers or EPKs or whatever. The research you're going to get back from that is phenomenal, right? And it will tell you all sorts of things. You may find, as this stand-up did in the United States, he put up a bunch of videos about himself because he wasn't getting any work in the US, and he found out that he was huge in Scandinavia. So he started a tour, and now he's massive in Scandinavia. He's got a full-time job, you know, touring Finland. Apparently, they loved his jokes. But, I mean, there's a perfect example. And so every day you leave without having a YouTube channel is another day that you're not, you know, going to be getting this data back. And the same thing for Facebook. I mean, if you want to look at the Restrepo Facebook page, please don't take any photos of this because it's so if I go here, so this is the Facebook fan page. With every fan page, and the reason why Facebook moved everyone from groups to fan pages is that fan pages have all the analytics or the insight on them, much like Google does for YouTube. So the groups never had that. They built it. You can see here that I have all this insight data. So I know all sorts of things about the fans, the 29,000 fans. I can see when they're leaving, when they're coming, what they like, what interactions did really well with them. I can look at the users and say, oh, okay, well, who are these people? Well, we're going to make another video. We're editing it according to this 70% male. I'm not going to try and make it for females. They're not going to watch it, right? There's only 30% of them. Yeah, they may resonate with them because they're you know, husbands in the army. But talk about amazing data, right? Is that I now know how I can put things together, you know, get this information out there. The other thing is that this one I really like is that we're going to put together a tour for Sebastian and Tim. I wonder where we should go. You know, New York, Sterling, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Chicago, Washington. Should we do some in Spanish? Yeah, probably. The UK is obviously pretty big. Phoenix, Livingston. There's my tour schedule. I don't have to guess. It's there. I can just put it up on Facebook and say, listen, we're going to be in Phoenix. This, to me, is what we do. As soon as we get a client, we are just all about data. We are pulling data from everywhere. And if they don't have anything in the social universe, it's the first thing we do. And you guys should be doing the same thing. Get stuff up online to get the data back. It's much more valuable than anything else you can do. And it's free for now, right? It's all free. There's VCs in San Fran who are paying for this for all of us. I shake VCs' hands all the time. It's like, thank you for sponsoring Facebook. Because you know at some point they're going to start saying, well, it's going to cost you $10 a year to be a Facebook member. Right? They have to. They can't keep doing this forever. Unless they get the ad-funded way. But, you know, I might choose no ads and all of my private information for $10 a year. Absolutely, I would do it. right? So this is what we sort of talk a lot about. This is why I'm so focused on data, and I'm always talking about data, 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 because it's all free out there and we can really get it. I'm going to take, is there one more question? Because then I'm going to, yeah, right there, sorry. And then we're going to go. Yeah, go for it.
Hi, Gavin. Tom Hill from Resonance. I came up to speak to you after the Transmedia on Monday, and I asked you for help, and you said you were very expensive. How expensive?
Oh, for us?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So the Restrepo, it's not expensive. The Restrepo thing that we did, we built the website that you saw is like 15 grand, and we charge between 10 and 20 grand a month, and usually for 3 months to get you up and running. And the best way that the way that we look at, that's just on the ecosystem side. But once you're up and running, what we really urge you to do is to hire someone at the same time, pretty junior, and we train them. Right? So we train them in our formula, we get it all out there, and then we leave you alone, right? And they maintain it, because you want someone inside your organization that should be getting all this information. And then we come back
Gavin,
and check
then
in
you're
6 months.
underselling yourself. That's
Sorry?
You're underselling yourself. That's
Sorry?
not expensive, that's good value.
No, well, hey, come on. I know it's not rocket surgery, right? You look at how much you guys get for some of these videos, and you know this is a film that costs a couple $1 million to make, but I mean these guys aren't made of money, and it's a person. But the problem is person to person. What you're paying for is the expense is the knowledge, because anyone can set up a YouTube site, anyone can set up a Facebook site, and you can start tweeting about it. But we don't do it that way. We spent a year building a formula that works. Right? We don't just say, hey, come to see Restrepo. Right? Oh, it's in theaters now. Oh, yippee. You know, we don't do that. We have a very specific way that we go out and find that. And that's the key, is that you gotta think through this stuff, because that's the future of what's happening, is connecting with that audience and getting that data. We're all about the data. I really appreciate you guys staying a little bit longer. Thank you very much.